Hi everyone, this is Phil with Phil's Guide Service. I'm here with your weekly Our Community Now fishing report. The water temperature is cooling down, the fish are moving around quite a bit and transitioning off those summer patterns. With that, it's a lot of fun, okay? It's a lot of fun to find these fish. It's a little bit more challenging, okay? But guess what? Fish still have to eat to live, okay? People think that when it gets a little cooler, the fish don't bite. That's completely false, okay? This time of the year, we're really heads down on our electronics, finding the fish and developing new patterns. Speaking of electronics, we've got a really cool segment this week from David at Shut Up and Fish. He's going to talk to you guys about how to rig your new boat out with some of the electronics that are out there on the market these days. He's also going to answer some questions about what you should spend your money on first. I think you guys are going to like that. Hang tight. It's time to shift gears now. We're going to go over and talk with David at Shut Up and Fish. He's got some cool things he wants to talk about. Hi everyone. This week we're here with David Goodson, here the owner of Shut Up and Fish here in Louisville, Texas. We've had so many questions about electronics, right? A lot of new boat owners this summer. The boat dealerships have got nothing in inventory right now. Well, guess what? I get a new boat. The first thing I want to do with it is put some gizmos on it. Okay. Most of us, if you're like me, you want the latest and greatest. Like I said, we're here with David with Shut Up and Fish. First off, how do I get a hold of you? Let's go there first.
Great question. Our website at www.shutupandfish.com, and you can review a lot of things there. Our About Us page, Contact Us is on there as well. Social media, our Facebook page, shutupandfish.com.
What's your phone number?
Our phone number is 972-822-9285, and that's probably the fastest and quickest way to reach me.
Awesome, thanks. So, David, brand new, beautiful Ranger boat here.
Thank you.
I love this thing. It's awesome. Can't wait to fish in it, by the way.
Yes, we will.
So you've got the latest and greatest, guys. This is a pretty advanced setup. This is probably the most advanced setup in a boat that I've ever sat in. Let's talk about some of the things that you've got on this boat, and also from like a new boat owner's perspective.
Sure.
What are some of the most important things that, where do I want to spend my money first? Like, what are the top couple things? And then let's go over what you got here.
That is a great question. And the first and foremost, I'm going to tell any customer that's wanting to get into electronics on their boat is at the helm is where you're going to do your homework. Mm-hmm. So you're going to want a good image, a side image, down image, 2D sonar, great mapping. And I'm a Humminbird guy.
Same here.
There's Garmin, there's Lowrance, there's all kind of brands out there. And we sell and carry all brands. So do your homework online, find out what you want, call me, I'll answer all your questions. But at the console is where you want a good side image, down image, 2D sonar,
right,
and mapping unit. That's where you're going to do your homework. Find your fish and or structure.
You're really hunting them down here while you're driving the boat, moving, covering water.
Correct.
Right, and then once you get on there,
then we go up to the bow, and that's where we fish what we found at the console.
So, talk to me about, some of these guys link the trolling motors with their Humminbirds or their Garmins and things like that.
Certainly.
I believe you've got that on this boat, right?
Humminbird is to Minn Kota, Lowrance is to Motor Guide, Lowrance is to Lowrance, Garmin is to Garmin when it comes to networking and linking. So I have Humminbird, so I have Minn Kota, and I have the iPILOT link. So I can go to a waypoint and the trolling motor will automatically take me there and anchor down when it arrives.
Yeah, which is a pretty cool feature. So
it is.
So with that, so what David can do if he's scanning for a crappie brush pile, for instance, he can go over it, say, "Oop, there's one," hit a mark on it, and then use the go-to feature. It will make his Minn Kota Ultrex trolling motor just bring the boat directly to that spot, which is really cool. There's no waste of time. You can be here getting your fishing equipment ready while the boat steadies.
It makes me more efficient. I can get a pack of crackers, a Pepsi, or tie on another bait and get ready to fish when I arrive.
Which is awesome. And so most of, like for Humminbird, for example, you can do this with the Helix series as well as the Solix, right?
You can.
And with the trolling motors, I'm assuming Ultrex, Ulterra, Terrova.
Anything that's iPILOT link.
Right.
Will have the go-to feature and the anchor. And iPILOT units that are not linked will still have the same anchor feature. You just have to manually take yourself to that waypoint.
Right. Why don't you explain a little bit more for someone who may not know what anchor feature is?
Anchor feature is the spot lock. It's what you hit anchor and it holds you tight. It will allow you to move about. It has a jog feature, 5 foot to the left, 5 foot to the right, forward and backwards. That's the iPILOT system. The anchor mode spot lock is what it's called.
Which I love. You know, being a fishing guide, it saves me so much time. It saves my lower back. I'm able to really sneak up on something and lock on it rather than throwing an anchor and just letting the wind drift me over it.
Exactly.
We're catching a heck of a lot of fish. I think the anchor feature, when it came out several years ago, I thought it was one of the most groundbreaking things that had come out. I use it every day. I fish multiple times. If I didn't have it, I'd be cranky.
It allows you to be more efficient.
Right.
Especially as a guide, you can spend more time focused on your clients than maintaining your equipment.
Right. It controls the boat for us. That's something that's real important. So new boat owners, if you can anchor your boat, with either a new Humminbird, or a Lowrance, get a motor guide like the XI5. That's a great, really affordable.
Or the new Lowrance Ghost.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an awesome unit as well. So a lot of the higher end ones, are going to have this feature.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, well worth the money.
Most definitely, yes. And I can help anyone out with anything that you're interested in. Just give us a call, and we'd be happy to work with you.
Cool. So let's talk about this. I see all kinds of cool gadgets up here. Why don't we move up here?
Sure.
I want you guys, tell me what you got here. I see a Garmin, I see a Humminbird, and I see the pole deucer right here. Why don't you talk about all three of these and how it helps you be a better fisherman?
Certainly, good questions. Again, we do our homework at the console. That's where we find our fish and or structure. Then we come up here to fish what we found at the console. So I do that with the Garmin Live Scope. Forward view is what I'm mainly on 100% of the time. There's two types of live scopers. There's the chaser and the squatter. The chaser is going to have the live scope transducer mounted to the trolling motor, and they're going to stay in total control, boat control with their foot pedal and pointing that transducer in the direction of their target.
Chasing a fish down, for example,
Yes.
you got one big fish you want to catch.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's going to be done in that method right there. And then you have the squatter who's going to have it on a standalone pole, such as the pole deucer that we created.
This is how I like to fish this method.
It is a very efficient way when you hit anchor mode, the spot lock that we just talked about. So if you're on a brush pile and you hit spot lock, you have the pole deucer. And we created the pole deucer. It has a live scope transducer on it. And all day long, you can just raise and lower it and pan the optics and point the transducer at your target while you're spot locked.
Right.
A very good feature for live scoping. And
So one of the things that I like the most about having it on a pole for my particular style of fishing is that I'll anchor on the side of a brush pile, if I'm crappie fishing, for example, and then I can, even if the trolling motor is moving left and right, to keep up with the wind, okay, I can really grab this and I can dial in on it, and I can say, hey, fisherman, I need you to go down 6 inches. We've got a 14-inch fish that's the one I want you to catch. Go down, here he comes, get ready, boom. A lot of times I'm sitting there looking at this, I know my guy has got a fish on before he does.
Yeah.
Really cool technology.
Yeah.
In my opinion, some awesome stuff out there.
And we have the other Humminbird up here as well, which is also linked to the iPILOT system, iPILOT Link. And that gives us our jog features and our mapping and 2D sonars. So just to enhance the live scope up here. So we're very efficient at the bow here.
Right, and you've got, I assume you've got the transducer from your Ultrax.
It's a down image on
down
it
image
as well.
to the Humminbird, right?
Yeah.
And as far as I understand, you can't get side image from a trolling motor yet, is that right?
You can.
Okay.
The Humminbird, Garmin, and Lowrance all have built-in side image and down imaging transducer capabilities.
Awesome, awesome. Well, David, thanks for going over this.
Sure.
Like I was saying earlier, this is an extremely advanced setup. May not be for everyone, but you're serious anglers. David should be able to get you hooked up, whether it's your first boat, you want to take one step at a time, or if you want to go all out and have the ultimate fishing machine. Again, David, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on the show. And if anyone needs anything, please look us up. We'll answer all questions that you may have.
Also, what's that phone number again?
972-822-9285.
Thank you.
Thanks for staying with us. Now we're going to move over with Dak with DAK'S Guide Service. He's going to come in with your weekly catfish report. He's also going to have some tips for you. May help you guys catch some fish and put some in the live well this week.
Hey everybody, Dak with DAK'S Guide Service bringing you this week's Our Community Now weekly fishing tip. This week I've got Mr. Charles Bender with me. He's going to help explain to you guys what the difference between a channel and a blue catfish is. So why don't you go ahead and take it away, Charles.
Alright, so the channels, they have longer whiskers, as the blues do not. And the color difference, that's the main thing. The channels have yellow, and the blues are blue and white. And the diet is, for the channel, they will eat literally anything.
Yep.
And blues will eat only fish. And because of that, there's this yellow stripe down the channel's back that makes the meat turn to yellow, as the blues do not have that stripe, so it's all white meat.
Right, absolutely. Tell us about how we caught these fish today.
So we caught these fish drifting in 20 feet of water with rod and rig.
Absolutely. You know what kind of rigs they were?
Sandy.
Cooper rigs. So that's all it is this week. Thank y'all for checking back in. We're wishing everybody tight lines, bent rods, and screaming drags. Signing out, everybody.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. A lot of helpful information there. I want to talk to you about white bass fishing this time of the year. This is an awesome time to white bass fish. I know you hear me say that all year. Well, guess what? They bite all year. We catch the snot out of these things. One of the things that we're doing this time of the year, as the fish are transitioning a little bit deeper, they're not in their winter pattern yet around here, but they're also not in their summer pattern. All that really means in a nutshell is that they moved a little bit deeper, okay? They're still biting the same stuff with regard to slabs, live bait. They're also surfacing quite a bit. As the temperatures cool off, the gulls really start migrating down to our area here in the south, okay? When there's topwater action, the gulls are going to be the ones to find it first. These gulls have amazing vision, and think about it, they eat fish to live. What better fish finder out there than a seagull, okay? So if you see some topwater, get there real quick, okay? That means you've got some really aggressive fish, whether they're striper, hybrid striper, or white bass, okay? I'm going to talk to you guys about a method that we're doing right now. This is not a new technique, okay? It's just one that we've kind of revived lately. These are called Alabama rigs. You guys have heard us talk about them lately over the past couple months. I love this lure. It's so much fun. It's out of the norm because I get sick of bouncing slabs off the bottom of the lake to catch white bass. This also, you can catch 4 or 5 of them at a time. You can tell this thing has been abused. There's not a speck of paint left on these jig heads. These are 1/4 ounce jig heads. And then I've got some curly tail, probably 3-inch, curly tails on these. We've spoken about alternating that middle color a couple times on the show. That's important. Sometimes they'll hit that when they don't want the primary color on there. So that's pretty neat for white bass. You guys that are going down fishing for striper, I want to see you guys upgrade a little bit. I got a couple baits I want to show you right here. So right here on the stool, I've got a 1/2 ounce jig head with a coho. This is a paddle tail, okay? Then I've got a 3/4. This is what I would put on an Alabama rig if I'm throwing it and just casting and winding it. I could also cast and wind this on any one of my spinner bait casters, okay? If I'm in a lake that's got striper and they're up at the surface feeding, I'm gonna upgrade to a 3/4 ounce with a paddle tail here. This is a pearl color that I dipped in chartreuse. I really like chartreuse tails. I don't care, what size, if it's a coho or a paddle tail. I really like that chartreuse dip on it. This is my go-to color right here for the winter. Catch a lot of striper on this bait. A little too big for your white bass. For your white bass guys, be throwing this with a 1/2 ounce or even downgrade to that 1/4 that I've got on the Alabama rigs. Okay, so one of the things that we're doing that's really unique, I haven't seen really anybody doing this yet this year with these Alabama rigs. I'm getting on the end of a point. Okay, I don't care if it's got a hump and I'm in the middle of the lake or I'm right off the shore. I'm going to find a point that leads into really deep water. Okay, I'm going to position my boat. Let's call it 35 foot. Remember, we're a little deeper this time of the year. I'm then going to anchor the boat. Like I said, at that depth, I'm going to toss uphill, up the point, okay, with this Alabama rig. I'm going to toss it as far as I possibly can. Let it hit the bottom, and then just slow crank that thing in. This is obviously when the fish are not up at the top surfacing, but I know I've read my electronics, I can tell they're on the bottom. I'm just gonna slow crank that thing in at a really slow pace, just enough to keep it off the bottom. Sometimes you feel it hitting rocks down there, that's good. Okay, don't throw this if you got a bunch of timber, you're just gonna get mad at yourself for losing baits. Another way that we're doing it, we're throwing it all the way out, letting it hit the bottom, and I'm doing this technique when my customers are having a hard time feeling the bite, okay? Get it real tight, way over here, and then slowly drag it without reeling. Just slowly drag it all the way behind you, okay? And then as you're reeling in your slack, you're letting that Alabama rig go back down to the bottom. And then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You're usually gonna get about 6 of those, on any cast, because you're pulling, probably 10 feet on each one, right? That's a really good way to pick up some fish, especially if they're not biting a slab on the bottom of the lake. We're catching a lot of what we're calling twofers. We love saying that on the lake. We've even caught a lot of them 4 at a time lately. So with that, these Alabama rigs, I really like the ones that are produced by a company called Casey School'em. I had some questions after we posted this last video about, well, which one is it? They got 1 million on the website. We're using the Texoma style ones. They've got the blades that are in a fixed position halfway down the shaft. I think that's good because I don't want the blade right there by my lure. I want a lot of flash, and I don't want the fish striking that blade and missing my bait, okay? They're also really heavy wire. I think it's a good quality product. It's an American-made product on top of everything else. Guys, I hope that helps you put some fish, whether it's striper, or white bass, or hybrid striper in your live wells this fall. Thank you.
Hi, it's Jesse with Our Community Now. This is your weekly tip for largemouth bass fishing, smallmouth as well. With the fall weather coming and the colder water temperatures, one of the things that you're going to want to use is P&J. Now, not P&J, pig and jig, P&J. And I'm going to show you today how to modify one of these jigs to be more effective when you're fishing. Typically with one of these jigs, you'll have some nylon rope is what it is that's molded in when they make the jig head, and you'll have a rubber skirt, and we're going to modify both of these. The purpose of the nylon is to make the jig weedless, but I think that they put too much on there, and you have to weigh the alternative of having a bulletproof product that is totally weedless, but you might miss some strikes, or to modify it slightly so you're going to get some more strikes. So we'll zoom in here and show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to take the back third of this nylon here, and I'm going to take a scissors. This is just a inexpensive scissors from Walmart, and I'm going to cut about 1/3 of it off, about 1/3 of the way down. So there's still plenty here to keep this weedless, but you can see we've trimmed some of it off, so it's going to be better to set your hook. The second thing is that you've got this rubber skirt here, and you can see that it just kind of hangs there, right? So there's a rubber band that holds this all together. Take the upper part a little bit above the head, and again, we're going to use our scissors, and we're just going to clip that off. When we do that, look what happens all of a sudden. We have quite a different jig here. And any little undulation in the water or movement is going to really make this move. So you've changed this jig to kind of make a lion's mane on it, and to be able to get more action when you're taking it through the water. So again, trim about 1/3 of that off, both of the nylon that's making it weedless because you don't need it, and trim the jig plastic legs down so that you'll get a lot better, more undulating jig action with it. Final tip that you have is that I like the black and blue. I like, Uncle Josh, I like the regular old pig. I don't think there's any plastic that's been made that's even close to effective as this, especially with the salt that it is. And as these dry out, you can freshen them up with some extra salt and water. Use the non-iodized salt will be the best kind. Black and blue is good, but I really like white as well. And if you use white, use a white pig or white plastic on it. that seems to be a good, effective one as well. So again, it's Jesse with Our Community Now with your bass fishing tip of the week.